El Nino is grabbing the headlines. If you've heard this, but you're a little bit confused as to what it is and what implications it actually has, you have come to the right place, because myself and Baylee are going to try and make sense of this today and talk about the implications it has. Baylee, let's start off with a simple explanation of what exactly El Nino is.
Okay, so El Nino refers to a warming of the ocean surface or above average sea surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean. So we're talking between South America and Australia. Technically, it's declared when water temperatures are at least half a degree in Celsius above normal for at least a 3-month period. And that gives rise to some pretty extreme weather conditions. It happens every 3 to 7 years, and we're due another one now, which is why we're talking about it today. Currently, predictions show a 94% chance of it happening this year and a 56% chance of it being particularly strong, meaning a warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Okay. So warmer seawater, which gives rise to more extreme climate conditions. And as you say, it seems like it could be quite acute. It could be quite extreme in this case, and it's upon us. Okay, what does this mean for, the weather in different areas? Will we all be impacted by this, or does the extreme weather manifest itself differently in different areas?
It definitely differs by location. In Europe, there's not likely to be much of an impact. Then moving over to the US, El Nino is associated with more wetter conditions, but in contrast, it can cause really dry conditions in Southern Africa and Australia. And that could be terrible news for crops and increase the risk of wildfires. Layering that on top of climate change, El Nino, if it lasts longer than 3 months, that could make next year record-breakingly hot. But no two El Ninos are alike, and the effects are going to depend on duration, intensity, timing. Where you could expect a drought, you could potentially have a storm and a flood. It's really, really hard to predict.
Okay, but either way, it sounds like pretty extreme weather conditions, which isn't good news, really. And particularly, I mean, with these things, it tends to impact on the most vulnerable areas the most, which is the most worrying. I mean, the only positive that I can take from this is that potentially it's a useful stress test for the likely extreme conditions that, all climate scientists, etc., are predicting. And this is almost like a short-term spike. And it enables maybe some areas to really see what can be expected in the future and build the infrastructure and put in place the necessary supports to support society in these conditions. Bringing it back, Baylee, to what it means for you and the portfolio management team, what impact does this have, if any, on economies and markets and what you're doing in portfolios?
We know that the economic impact is likely to vary a lot by location, but to keep things really short, there's 2 things that we're looking at. One is commodity prices, as they could be going up due to that potential reduction in supply, particularly in the agriculture space. And then that reads through to the second point, which is inflation, which is not ideal given the current environment, and it could potentially make the job of central banks a little bit harder.
Yeah, exactly. And at a time when the last thing we need is more stimulus for inflation. Okay, so not a great news story in that case, but certainly one that we should be aware of. And I think it's really important, not just for the impacts on inflation, but obviously the broader, bigger societal issues that it highlights. A really interesting topic, Baylee, very well explained. We will be back next week, as usual. We will put another fund manager on the spot and cover the main topic of markets. Until then, take care.